Okay, hey everyone. So what we are doing here, I'm just going to show you how to, this is kind of my very first part 1 tutorial for how to make a basic shape in Onshape, just getting used to some of the tools and things like that. Now Onshape is an online platform, it saves automatically, so please don't freak out if you haven't saved anything. It's browser based, so at any point when the browsers are going through, that it will save automatically, and you can access it anywhere, which is the beauty of Onshape as an online tool. Okay, so what we need to be looking at here, this is the general interface that you come into, and before we make anything new we need to go up here to where it says create. 9 times out of 10 you're going to be making a document, so that would be my go-to up here. And it's going to ask you to call it something, and you could call it anything you wanted to. For instance, this time we're going to call it cube, but frankly it doesn't really matter so long as you know what file it actually is. It's absolutely fine. So I'm going to click OK, and that's going to generate me a new workspace. Ta-da! Now the first thing you'll notice is these 3 axes will pop up. Now these are spatial axes. Okay, and these are different ways of looking at stuff. You can navigate them by clicking on over here, or you can use this particular one, which will take you to specific viewpoints, the isometric or a flat viewpoint like that, and it will keep zooming you around no matter how much you, pretty much how much you want it to. Okay, now if I'm going to draw something brand new, what I would quite like to do, I'm quite a big fan of making sure that I have a plan view to start me off, which also known as a bird's eye view and all that kind of stuff, but generally speaking it's the top one. So first thing I need to do is I need to create a sketch, because anytime we're going to draw we need to go into this sketch thing. Okay, so this is our initial point. Now this comes up and it's got a bit of a red thing going on here because it's not really sure what you're doing at the minute. It's not a proper sketch, but that's because it doesn't know where it's sketching. So I need to go here. So looking here it says sketch plane because it doesn't know. So what it's asking me to do is to select one. I could select any one of the 3. I like a nice top-down view, so I'm going to start off here for this particular job. Depending on the different jobs, you might need to select a different one, but we're going to select top to start us off. We can see that that's accepted because it says sketch 1. Now, because I've got that, and just a quick shortcut, I'm just going to press N on my keyboard. Don't have to press enter or anything. That's going to give me, that's a normal view. So what it's saying is that of that particular viewpoint, this is the normal view for how it looks. Okay, so we've got all that. We've got our origin in the middle, or datum if you want to use technical term, and before we do anything else I need to make sure that's all good. So top plane's all good, sketch 1, it's not orange anymore, which means it's accepted it, and I'm going to be doing a cube to start me off. Okay, so I'm going to use this rectangular shape, try and actually say it properly. Now if I click on the arrow next to it, I can have either a corner rectangle or a centerpoint rectangle. I'm a big fan of the centerpoint rectangle. You probably will need to select that because I've obviously used it before, that's why it's brought it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just hover over the origin here, and you can see it's got this symbol, looks like this. So that's a coincident symbol. Basically it's saying that that is the dead center and it's attaching to something. So I'm going to click on that once and start to drag away. Now what we're going to do, so I want a cube that is 60 millimeters square. Okay, so I'm going to drag this around a little bit until I get somewhere near 60 millimeters. It hasn't got to be perfect at all because we're going to alter in a second. So that's just shy of it on both. So I'm going to click to finish. Okay, now just as another quick shortcut, I'm going to press D on my keyboard and it brings me up to this tool here, which is the dimensioning tool. And because it's a square, I need to dimension 2 sides. I don't need to do all 4 because it will assume that if one is a certain size, then the one that's opposite it will be the same. So I'm going to click on that. You saw it went orange there for a second. Pull it away, and it gives me this little text box, and I can just key in 60 because if you look here, the unit that it's using is millimeters anyway, so it's just going to assume that I'm in millimeters. So that's that side, and you can see the other side opposite it's gone blue, so that means that it's that side too. And then here, as I'm still on my dimensioning tool, click again, you saw it went orange, it says it's selected, and then click again. I'm just going to key in 60 once more, and you can see it's just rearranged its sizes. Okay, so that's a nice perfect square, and that's exactly what we want at this point. Okay, so now that's all good, I'm going to just click on the green button to accept it. Okay, so it's a nice big tick, and that's now a thing in my drawing. Okay, now to make it into a three-dimensional thing, I always like to have a bit of a look from an isometric point of view at this point. So if you just click on this corner up here in your navigation, it will take us to that point, which is nice. So that works. So there's our thing right in the slap bang in the center. You can see it's in the middle, so it's on our top plane in the middle near our origin there. We're just going to extrude it. Now extruding is to stretch something out, to drag it, and we're just going to click on that, and then it's going to come in here. Now new at the minute is all good. I could add, I could remove, I could intersect, I'm not worried about any of them. This is a new extrude, so I'm going there, and again it's got nothing in here, face and sketch regions to extrude. So what it's doing is it's asking me what are we extruding. So I'm going to just hover over that shape and click on it, and straight away it starts to move. It's guessing what you'd like to do, and it gives you an automatic value of 25 millimeters. Well, I don't want that at the minute, but let's just talk about this. So this arrow here is saying that it's extruding it upwards. If I wanted it to go the opposite way, I could click on it once, and that will flip around and go the other way. Okay, and I can do that however many times I like. Now, I am a bit picky, and I really like to have a nice symmetrical view. So if we look here where it says blind, it's got a whole load of different things that we can have a look at, and we'll potentially have a look at more of them as we go on. But right now we need this symmetric one. So what that means, if you look now, that's our original sketch, and it's now saying that it's extruding it 25 millimeters, but it's only doing half that above and half that below because it's doing it symmetrically. Okay, so now if I click on here and key in my 60 millimeters and press enter, now I've got myself a nice cube that I can sort of rotate around and have a good look at, but I need to accept that. So I'm just going to click on this green tick real quick, and there we go. Okay, so now we can navigate around that. Okay, and again that's gone a bit screwy, so what I could do is just go back to my standard viewpoints over here on the right hand side and get that sorted. So that's step one. The next step, and the last thing we're going to do in this particular little task, is just to push a hole right the way through the center of that. Now, if I were to select one of these planes, I would be selecting the middle of one of these, so it would be that point there and running down through the center, which we don't want at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to sketch again because we need to draw something. So sketch, select sketch plane. Now I don't want any one of these three at the moment. What I want is actually the face of the thing that I'm trying to put a hole through. So I'm going to go here. Okay, now it's saying sketch 2, and that's hanging over that particular face, and you can see that it's accepted it because it says face of extrude 1, and if I just hover over that, it goes yellow in the viewport. Okay, so we're going to say yes, that's all good. So that's the sketch we want, or that's the plane we want to sketch on. I'm going to get my circle. Again, I'm going to select the center point circle. Now, the program will try and help you out with various things. It will try and lock onto the centers and midpoints, and it will draw you little dotty lines and all that kind of stuff. But now it's selecting the middle point, and it's giving me this symbol again. It keeps disappearing when I go to try and point at it, but there we go. So click on that once and start to drag. I'm looking for a radius, sorry, not a radius, a diameter of 20 millimeters. So I'm just going to, again, something a bit like it, 22, that'll do. And I'm going to press D again, like I did before. Again, that tool gets selected. I can then select the circle and drag away from it. That's now giving me a measurement there. So if I change that to 20 millimeters, that'll auto size the hole for me. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. Don't need to do much else to that particular drawing, so I'm going to accept it, and then I'm going to extrude. Now, before we use the new one, we are doing the solid, so we're staying on solid. We're not worried about the surface as such. We want this part to be an actual solid lump of stuff. Now I don't want the new. What I want to do this time is just remove a bit of material. So I'm going to click on that, And again, this doesn't know what we're doing, so I need to just come over here and just click on the circle. I cannot stress that enough. It's got to be just the circle, and it will automatically start to suggest. Okay, again, we get that arrow that can move it in or out. The reason why this selection has gone red is because it's actually saying that's not possible. So yeah, clearly we can't do that. So if I click that again and that goes back into it, it calms down, quite likes that a little bit more now. And we're going to change this blind again. So the blind, we can set it to a particular depth. We can set it up to 25 millimeters, or we can set it to be almost all the way through the thing. We could set it to just be a millimeter or so, depending on what we are trying to achieve. In this case, we want to go all the way through. So I need to change this blind all the way down to through all. Click on that, and that is just shooting it, and it's ignoring any sizes or anything else like that. Okay, so it's just, and it's saying that it's just going through part 1. Okay, so if I select to accept that one, I should, if I'm really lucky, yay, yeah, so I can zoom all the way around, and now I've got a hole right the way through the center. I hope that's been a useful video for you to watch. And I will see you in the next video. Okay.